One to the three. Now we'll start the recording in the MTV. Yeah, we're here. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
Yes, welcome. All right. We are we are started. We have a wonderful new software that's not really new because I used it the first time. But yeah, we're up and we're in action and we are here to talk to you, Dr. Road and Austin Spears. Austin, you gotta like type in your Hail Hydra name here, otherwise I'm not gonna. Also, why do you call yourself Top Hail Hydra? Are there other Hail Hydras? And then there's Bottom Hail Hydra? Is that a
So the
problem
entire
for
the
you?
entire thing there was when I was making an Xbox name for myself a couple years back. I wanted just to be Hail Hydra because haha, funny. Stupid 12-year-old kid obsessed with Hydra because villains are cool. And unfortunately, that was taken, so I had to suck up and go with something else. So Top Hail Hydra came up as a suggestion, and that's what I went
Oh,
with.
okay.
And then that's
So,
just been kind of the name since.
all right. Well, okay. I mean, that's good, I guess. Maybe we'll just call you Hydra for short over here. But anyway, it's Dr. Road and Hydra here. We're gonna talk about a lot of stuff today. But first of all, where Revan was right, the NFL. Because believe it or not, guys, I actually don't suck at predicting games. Because I got 4 for 6 for my playoff predictions. Last week I predicted you would have the Rams, the 49ers, the Packers for the NFC winners, and then the Patriots and the Jaguars. And what was the other game?
I don't
It
remember.
must have been irrelevant because I don't remember. Oh yeah, the Texans over the Steelers, and I got 4 of those right. The only ones I was wrong was the Jaguars. They actually lost to the Bills, and the Packers. They lost to the Bears. But I already said that that was to be expected because the Bears have turned out to be pretty all right. As it turns out, the Bears had one of the greatest comebacks in playoff history, possibly NFL history. If anyone's familiar with Super Bowl 51, that was Tom Brady versus the Falcons, one of his finer Super Bowl performances. They came back from a 28-3 deficit at halftime. The Bears came back from a 21-3 deficit. That was around halftime, I think, as well. And it just makes you think how, if you're the Packers, knowing that 28-3 has already happened, would you choke such a giant lead? Well, it actually became quite clear because, as it turns out, Matt LaFleur, the Packers head coach, was on the Falcons coaching staff when 28-3 happened. So I guess losing was just in his blood. Sounds like they're going to keep him as the head coach for next year, though. So I hope that doesn't come back to bite him. But anyway, with all that in mind, we have new playoff predictions for this week's divisional round. And let me tell you, that is exciting stuff. Right now, we're looking at the Broncos versus the Bills, the Patriots versus the Texans, the Seahawks versus the 49ers, and the Rams versus the Bears. This NFC side is really crazy because, for those of you who don't know a lot about football, they're separated into 8 different divisions: AFC, NFC, and then you have AFC North, South, East, West, and the NFC North, South, East, West. It's very, pretty simple way that they organize it. But this year, the NFC West has not one, not two, but 3 teams in the playoffs, which that is pretty crazy in and of itself. But on top of that, those 3 teams all made it past the first round. They are all in the divisional round. So now the NFC is 75% NFC West teams, which is, I don't know if I've even seen this in ever. It's it's incredibly amazing, especially when you consider all the teams that they have: the Rams, the Seahawks, and the 49ers. But that just means the playoff predictions are going to be all the more interesting. So this week, for my first prediction, we're going to do Seahawks 49ers. They played 2 weeks ago when the Seahawks pretty much demolished the 49ers. It was not pretty. The 49ers only scored a field goal. But the Seahawks didn't do too much better, actually. They only scored 13 points. So, with that in mind and how recently they played, what did I predict? Did I predict an upset? No, I predict the Seahawks are going to once again take over this game, and the defense is going to prevent Brock Purdy from doing anything close to incredible. And if the Eagles could make it a close game, 23-19 against the 49ers, then I find it highly unlikely the 49ers can beat the Seahawks. I'm picking Sam Darnold to lead his team to the NFC Championship. Then we have the Rams and the Bears. I don't like predicting this one because it feels like Green Bay versus Chicago all over again. And I feel like you can flip a coin. Austin, do you want to flip a coin to see who wins this game? Because I don't know. The
I
Rams,
don't have a coin on me.
well, yeah, the Rams on paper are a better team. I mean, Sean McVay is hailed as one of, if not the best coach in the NFL. Matthew Stafford is the perennial MVP candidate, aside from Drake May. Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams are great wide receivers, all pros back in their respective times. Well, Nacua right now, but anyway. And the defense sort of worries me, and the special teams pretty much only exists for half the game. The Bears, on the other hand, are the Carolina Panthers if they won a lot. I want to say it because the Bears have had some really good performances, and some of those performances and wins have only come after playing horribly and then just coming back and making up for it. Like this past wild card game they had against the Packers, absolutely atrocious. They looked like trash in that first half. What do? They come back and have an incredible second half and they win the game. So I feel like even if I choose the Rams for being on paper the better team, can I trust them to take care of the Bears? Oh, I'm not so sure. What do you think, Austin? Should we trust, what is the wise choice, or should we make the gambler's choice and just hope and pray that we're right because Caleb Williams is for some reason good in the second half of games only?
It. Hmm. I mean, obviously, everyone watching this knows I'm not much of a football person. I don't watch it. I don't really keep up. Um, Personally, I'd go with the safe choice and just say the team that's historically done better, especially as of recent. But if they're if the other team happens to clutch off in the second half, it's a decent choice. Let's just say let's go gambling.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I want to pick the Bears. I don't want to pick the Bears. I want to say the Rams win. I want to see the Rams succeed. I like Matthew Stafford as an MVP candidate and for him to go get a Super Bowl win and then get his nice retirement. So I want to see the Rams succeed. My gut tells me the Bears are going to win, but I'm still going to have my pick be the Rams. I don't think they're capable of choking away a lead quite the same as the Packers. If the Bears are going to play as bad as they did against the Packers, who I think are not anywhere near as good a team as the Rams are, I I'm gonna have some faith here. We're getting just a little bit concerning, but I'm gonna say Rams, Seahawks, NFC Championship. Head over to the AFC. Bills, Broncos. They have a rematch from last year. Last year, the Bills just they allowed one touchdown, and the rest of it was just Bronco disappointment, which we love, by the way. Do I think the Broncos are going to get their revenge? No! I think they're going to go home being revealed to be the frauds that they have been. Because the team they get compared to most is last year's Kansas City Chiefs, which is extremely hurtful, but unfortunately sort of accurate. They've won a lot of games that they arguably shouldn't have, and they've nearly lost a lot of games that they should have won extremely easily. So when they're going against Josh Allen, very playoff experienced QB, very successful in the playoffs unless it's against the Chiefs, I just don't see the Bills managing to lose to the Broncos, who I do not think are as good a team as the Jags are, who the Bills just beat in the last round. So give me the Bills, go to the AFC Championship again, and then Patriots, Texans. What do you do with this? How do you choose? The Patriots had a really bad offensive performance for the majority of their game against the Chargers. The Chargers were much worse, and they only kicked a field goal, which was so sweet because I hate the Chargers as well. But the question then becomes, are the Patriots going to be just as bad against the Texans as they were against the Chargers? And I think there's a chance that they are. However, I think that the Chargers offense is probably ever so slightly better. I think they have the better quarterback, the better receivers, and they did have the better running backs until they didn't. I'd say the running backs are about average. Basically, I think it's going to come down to who can make the small chisels away in the rock. It's not going to be the big explosive plays. You're not going to see a lot of, oh, it's shootout. These quarterbacks are just going at it. Because Drake May is a QB who can do that in the right situation. But in the end, I think the critics are sort of right. The Patriots schedule was one of the easiest in the NFL. And because of that, they might not have been challenged as much as they should have been. However, their defense proved very good against the Chargers this past game. And I think that they can do the same against the Texans, who have had an offense that ranged from bad to putrid to fine to I just hate watching it. I cannot stand watching the Texans play football. So I'd say unless the defense has a couple of strip sacks and pick sixes and fumbles turned into a touchdown, I don't see the Patriots losing this one. I'm going to say Bills Patriots for the AFC Championship, which means I'm predicting rivals for both sides because it'd be two NFC West teams and two AFC East teams, which I think is going to be really cool. Those are my picks for this week. Go put your money on it on Kalshi. It's the number one sports betting platform that isn't DraftKings. I don't know. I listen to a lot of sports people that talk about it a lot.
Or, of course, if you are a Broncos fan, you are either one of two people, as of
You?
recent news, that I actually have pulled up on my other screen right now that I've been noticing on the internet. The Broncos has gained a massive following due to the Uma Musume Horse Derby anime game.
I'm sorry, what? The,
Yes.
like people are
So,
becoming Broncos fans who like horse anime?
so it's actually
What?
kind of funny. So this game called Uma Musume, I apologize if I'm butchering it, essentially translates to horse girl, and it's a horse girl derby game. And a bunch of the
I
Broncos has picked up fans of, and at their games, every game recently, since this start, they have won. And not only that, a bunch of people are showing up to Broncos games in horse girl outfits specifically to cheer on the Broncos, regardless of whether or not they know what they're doing. They're just supporting a horse team,
so
which is
this is like
absolutely amusing.
I'd almost say this is like the bestiality version of the Taylor Swift fans who went to Chiefs games. Like, is that a fair comparison?
I'd say more we version more than bestiality.
Okay, but like it's the animal version of a bunch of Taylor Swift fans
Yeah,
suddenly being into
essentially.
football because she was with Travis Kelce.
I mean, essentially.
What? Crazy.
I thought you would
Man.
like that little snippet of that
That
information.
is, I don't know if I
And
probably could
so,
have lived my whole life
look,
without knowing that and
if you
been
decide to
perfectly
watch
happy.
the Bills versus Broncos, look out for the horse girls in the stands.
Okay, well, if anyone needs a ride home, they know where to go, I guess. But anyway, Austin's gonna run us real quick through an F1 related thing. The
So,
Cadillac team, the latest addition to F1. Tell us a
well,
little bit about
yep,
that.
we have two teams. We have Audi and Cadillac. So
Well,
Cadillac
Audi
over
doesn't
here,
count.
I mean, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, they're like
Um,
a restructuring.
so Cadillac is currently owned by General Motors, and they are essentially going to be the American giant joining the next biggest thing, which is F1. They already participate in LMP racing, Le Mans, um, and endurance racing. So they do participate in 24-hour Le Mans, Nürburgring, Daytona, all the big endurance tracks, and the multi-class races as well. And they decided they are going to bring racing glory back to America in the best way possible by joining F1.
You hear that, America? We are going to make F1 great again. I'm kidding. It was already great. Max
Of course,
Verstappen's there.
as and anyone who is currently keeping up with F1, we already know the two drivers are Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez, both
Sergio's
incredible,
back.
both incredible drivers. Valtteri Bottas was original or latest. He was a Mercedes driver. He was the number two to Lewis Hamilton. So he's got a bunch of experience being in a championship winning team, along with Sergio Perez, who was the second driver to Red Bull And he, again, has incredible experience with being in a championship winning team. And at times, if you've been keeping up with Sergio himself, he has revealed that there was a point where Red Bull had to tell him to slow down because he was faster than Max, and arguably the greatest defender in all of F1 history. So it will be a very interesting duo. These two have a great relationship as friends and are both incredible drivers. I could see, I wouldn't say they'd be in contention for a championship this year, but I think they will place very high. I'd
Yeah,
probably
sort
put
of
him
come out of the gate swinging.
maybe, I could see him being in the top five, maybe
Top five. All right, and
with both
you were
these
saying
drivers
Williams
are.
would also be a top five racing unit, didn't you?
This year's going to be absolutely wild.
Well, yeah,
Um,
but who do you think's gonna be better, Cadillac or Williams?
I'm not entirely sure yet. I think I can say for guarantee we will see Cadillac, Ferrari, only because of Charles Leclerc, not because
Charles,
Ferrari did anything good.
Charles Leclerc, Charles
Um,
Leclerc.
we will see Red Bull only because of Max.
Well,
Mercedes is
I don't know.
always a
Isaac
tough.
Hadjar seems a little gifted, you know.
As Isaac Hadjar is very gifted, but as we've seen throughout history, the second seat there is cursed. And Isaac has openly stated he acknowledges he's not there strictly for talent at this point. He is there essentially to just be a support. He's not there as a main driver. He will never be the main driver. He's there to just make sure that he can defend other drivers from catching up to Max before he gets overtaken.
Which Yuki Tsunoda couldn't do. You would think the guy would know how to, you know, protect Max after he was all like, "I know what I have to do," and then he went
Well,
and
again, I
did
mean,
nothing.
Lando Norris also
Landon
overtook
Norris cheated.
illegally.
We know it was an illegal overtake, and it was rigged.
It
Okay,
was very much
y'all.
rigged.
They wanted Lando to win.
Let's see. Cadillac has already revealed their test livery. They will reveal their official one, I believe, next week, if I'm correct.
Right. The car reveals they start pretty soon, don't they?
Yeah, this month into next month. And
Right.
then over at Audi, we are losing Sauber. Sauber has been purchased by Audi, another giant in the racing world, or at least used
And
to
if none of
be.
that makes sense to the rest of y'all, don't worry. I don't know anything about that one either. It's corporate
Um,
takeover. I was mostly focused on the Cadillac because it was, America. But yeah,
Cadillac
Audi
is
Audi isn't changing a whole lot, are they?
Audi purchased Sauber, so they don't need to go through a whole lot. They have more funding, so they can buy the better power unit. They can buy better equipment, and they can make the car run better.
And they
Um,
have a salary cap too in F1, right?
yes. So each vehicle is going to be held under certain restrictions, so they can still be different, but they're going to be within a com within even ground for the most part. Obviously, we have seen cars absolutely dominate R23, W11, the McLarens this year. I think that's
Yeah.
M33.
McLarens were sort of
And
cheat
then
code cars, though.
Audi, being as they bought the team, Sauber, they will have Nico Hulkenberg, who I believe has stated
Hey,
he's
Hulkenberg. He's
and
retiring?
rookie.
No, he can't retire.
He is the second longest racer on the track at the moment.
Let me
He's
guess,
getting old.
Alonso's the longest.
Yeah. Um,
By the way,
and
fun fact, guys, all the F1 racers, well, just about all of them, they have these great theme songs. Like you probably know the Max Verstappen one if you know us at all, because it's do 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 Max
Max
Verstappen.
Verstappen.
But yeah, basically they all have great songs. So if you look up F1 driver songs, you will find a lot of great stuff. You guys gotta go check it out. It's great. I promise.
It's
You're not
very
gonna be
great.
disappointed. Fernando
Spotify has them all.
Alonso might be a ripoff of Seven Nation Army though,
It
so
is.
I'd
But
worry about
and
that.
then the second driver is Gabriel Bortoleto. He has proven actually to be fairly successful. He's been able to keep decent position throughout the races,
Yeah,
and I'd say
he's
he's going to show promise. And I'm interested to see whether Audi can help because we that's the entire point as to why the smaller teams are still there. Losing teams like Alpine, Williams at that point,
because someone has to lose some X.
Sauber. No, it's they are essentially, if they can afford it, they're going to keep it alive long enough to hopefully have a giant such as Audi, or when Ford was absolute Jaguar. Ford owns Jaguar. Jaguar was a racing team at one point in F1, and they were doing so terrible, and they were losing money that they sold it to Red Bull. Uh, Sauber was not doing well, so they were able to sell it to Audi, and Audi should hopefully bring Sauber up to a nice competing car.
Hmm.
I'm interested to see where they run.
Okay.
I
So yeah.
feel bad for Alpine. They have been here for a while, and still no one's
Oh,
touching them.
tell you what, how about this? When we get closer to the racing season, we'll do another vibe check on all of the teams and we can just sort of rank where we think they're each going to end up in the F1 season, maybe a week or two out before the first race. That sound like I think it's a good idea. What do you
Yep.
think? All right,
Uh,
perfect.
yeah.
Next up, the doctor is in the house for his diagnosis on the Hazbin Hotel. All right, y'all. So this is a story that I actually don't know the full context of because Austin here, I've sent him a few reels and recommended a few songs, and he doesn't really want to interact with them, but I don't know the full extent of how he feels about them or how much he knows. So, Austin, why don't you just
Essentially
how much do you know about the show?
all I've heard is the show tries to humanize demons and demonize angels. That's just about all I've heard.
I mean, that's really, yeah, that's fairly accurate. So, you haven't like listened to any songs and you haven't delved any deeper than that, right?
I personally have refused to go near it.
All right. And I don't blame you. So the only reason I started watching this show was because you're scrolling your average Instagram and you see, oh, here's this reel. It's audios from something else, or oh, that's a clip from something. And eventually I figure out what show it is. It's called Hazbin Hotel. I'm like, see all these clips. It seems sort of funny, so let's just take a look. So I watched the trailer. I'm like, oh my. But then I'm like, okay, we gotta give it the good old fashioned try, especially since my Prime free trial is gonna expire pretty soon. I gotta, make this snappy. You only live once. You only get free Prime for 6 months. But hey, any excuse not to talk about Stranger Things season 5, I will take it. Anyway, so I start with the first episode of Hazbin Hotel, and I did not want to continue with that show. I first thought was this is an absolutely depraved piece of work, which I guess I should compliment the showrunners a little bit because I mean it's hell. So in a way, they're depicting a semi-realistic it's hard because no, I mean, we have never been to hell, so we don't know what it's like. But like, if hell was if you had all the people on Earth, you threw them into hell, and then it was a place with economy and business. I feel like that's what it would be like. So I don't know. It was hard, but I try to do it where I'm not just gonna watch the pilot episode. You got to give it like 2 or 3 episodes just to get a full idea of what they're going for here. And so I watched the second episode, especially since the title intrigued me. Radio killed the video star, whatever, and one character specifically, Alistair. He was he was pretty. I don't know about comedic, charismatic. That's the word. And something about him just seemed very intriguing. And as I go on watching the show, I'm just like, okay, the songs don't suck. The characters are fun to watch, and the story's still engaging. As long as you take this as a purely fictional, not biblically based thing at all, then you can probably enjoy it. Like here, Austin. Let me run you through just what they have idea wise in the opening
Oh boy.
info, and then just tell me how many problems you identify with. Okay. So first thing, it's like in the beginning, right? There's a bunch of angels of pure goodness, and they're creating the world. And there's one angel, Lucifer, and he's just a dreamer. He just wants, to share his ideas. But all the other angels say, no, we don't like that. So, you know, sit here on the sideline. We're going to do our thing. We're going to impose our will on how we want to make the world and humanity. And so, then comes Adam and his first wife, the, Lilith. Okay. So Eve wasn't the first one. No, it was this Lilith gal, and they're there
I'm
as
already at
equals.
5.
And they're there as equals, right? And so then it becomes bad. It only gets bad when Adam's like, "Hey, I want control. I I got to be over Eve, okay?" And so, not Eve. I got to be over Lilith. And so Lilith is like, I screw that. I'm out of here. And then Lucifer meets her, and they fall in love. What do you need a tally board or something to keep track of all this? So yeah, they fall in love, right? And then they want to spread this free will with the world, with Adam's new wife Eve, and she does that, and now then they become cursed with sin, and then Lucifer and Lilith are collectively banned to hell at that moment, not earlier, just right then and there. That's what gets them kicked out, and then they have a kid named Charlie. I don't know. I feel like Lucifer and Lilith, you couldn't have thought of a better name than Charlie. Also, they have a last name, Morning Star, probably because Lucifer was like shining morning star described in scripture, which I guess is a little creative, but yeah, yeah, Charlie Morningstar. That's your show protagonist, who is the like most positive person in the entire show. Like, okay, maybe there's one person. Some of the people in heaven, I guess, are at her level, but like if it wasn't for the fact that she was in fact a morning star, she would be in heaven based on the positivity and the outlines of that. But that's just the intro. Okay, that's just the intro. How many things do you see a scriptural or theological problem with?
Yes. Yes.
What was? Did you have a count? No.
I think I got like 8 or 9,
Eight
something
or
like that.
nine. Yeah, and that's all in like 2 3 minutes. And so that was my original like, okay, yikes, with the show, and that's why you have to see it as a pure work of fiction, entirely fiction.
But there's a level, right? There's got to be a limit to like how how much are you going to twist biblical figures?
Right. And that's part of the thing I wanted to talk about with Hazbin Hotel specifically, but also in general. Because media, especially 21st century media, has grown a lot from, say, the 60s, I think it was, with Psycho, where it was like near scandalous just to have a woman laying on a bed in her undergarments. That was like, whoa, okay, there is an implication that her and that guy were going at it, okay? That's pretty wild.
Like
But
even
now
prior
that's
to
nothing.
fucking
You
like
could have that in a PG show at this point.
I mean, yeah, the depravity since we continue to stray further and further uh from God in the Bible, you just see it and it continues to ramp up to more and more extreme as we get looser and looser on everything.
I think part of it is for the shock value because eventually you don't never want your audience to be bored, and you don't want your audience to think they're just watching the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
You have to keep them engaged, and a lot of times that means you have to keep having new ideas, do new things, push the envelope, and to a lot of extents that's a good thing. For example, all the creative bankruptcy of 60s, I'd say, of Hollywood led to a resurgence in the 70s. These new thinkers, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola, they had new ideas and they were great. I mean, no one's complaining about Star Wars or Jaws or The Godfather. The thing is, sometimes you have to think when it's pushing and it's growing and expanding, that doesn't just apply to the good things. Sometimes it's going to apply to things that you don't love, you know? So the question I would have is when you have a project like Hazbin Hotel, is it right to be able to enjoy that? If you're thinking in your mind, I can separate this from what is truth. I can keep these as separate things in my mind. I'm not trying to celebrate all the crazy stuff that's going on here because I'll tell you, there is a lot. It is an adult animated show for a reason. Can people in good conscience watch this show? Like, I wouldn't recommend it to any Christian friend of mine. I think they would probably vomit internally, like figuratively, like in their mind. But like, what do you think?
I It does come down to morals, a lot of it, and where they come from. From my experience and from what I've seen online, aside from you, just about every other fan that I've seen and anyone who enjoys it, Hazbin Hotel, is
Mhm.
typically a extreme-sided liberal. Uh, People who
Yeah,
I would
thanks.
personally not get along with at all. Um, And I'm like, I'm sure other atheists and Republicans could get along with it just fine. Uh, depending on how, depending on just how, I'd say, little care you have for the Bible and Scripture. But I, I do not think a Christian could ever watch this and not have multiple questions and just say, this is not at all something that should be consumed. Because you are essentially humanizing demons and Satan.
Okay, but okay, hear me out. The music of season two was like really good. You appreciate music, so like I wouldn't expect you to watch the show, but I feel like the musical element at least should intrigue you to some extent. Like Vox Populi, the beginning of that. Oh,
Fine,
goodness gracious. Or Love in a Bottle
fine.
is
Let me pull
pretty
it up real quick.
jazzy. Oh, you're actually gonna listen. Oh, he's listening to y'all. He doesn't do this. This is you're catching a live reaction to us and doing. He's going above and beyond. This is new.
Just that first minute.
Pretty much, yeah. Okay. Now we're not gonna, we don't have the audio of it, obvious copyright reasons. But if we look here, we can see that he is.
Uh, yeah. Why do I not hear it? Why is it not coming through?
Oh, he's not hearing it.
Hang on. Let me just move over to the other screen.
Well, while he's doing that, this video is sponsored by me because I spent a heck of a lot of money on the camera equipment and this and this computer. So, if you want to support that, you could by subscribing and liking and sharing. Or please, someone give a comment. Do you know what we're doing next week for the entertainment section? We are casting Veggie Tales as live action people. Bob the Tomato is going to be voiced by, I'm not going to tell you, otherwise you're not going to come here. But it's going to be quite something. We're going to imitate the voices, and it's going to be great. But we need
Why
some other
is
ideas, okay, y'all? So would you please just give me some ideas? If you don't like what we're saying, just say that. Just something. Because we would love to hear from you.
why
Ultimately, we
can I
want to
not hear it? Why is YouTube not
help all the
working?
people. He's still struggling. Maybe we just wait to do this another time with you,
Let
and
me
you can
just
give us your vocal review later. Oh, he just he. Oh, that's clever. Yeah, so we're just gonna witness his reaction in real time to anyone who's listening purely from Spotify. I can narrate this. So right now he's scrolling. Right, he's looking it up. He prepares the phone. Oh, and he's bobbing his head up and down. He's grooving. He's feeling the beat. He is okay. He is sort of vibing with it. He's contemplative, considerate. He's in consideration. He's one of those words. It's hard to say. He's gazing stoically at it. Now, he's still stoically gazing. I don't have. Oh, he's bobbing his head. He smiled. He smiled. It's very rare for him to smile. This is. Oh, he did the eyebrow thing. This is. He's reacting far better to it than I expected. It's truly a wonder what music can do for the soul. It touches us. It resonates with us. Yes, it resonates with us in ways that normal words cannot. It's poetry, but it's not just poetry of the mind, it's poetry of the soul, of the spirit. And what a beautiful thing that is. It has to have been a minute by now. I can't keep narrating this like a British documentary. What is that? The planet, Blue Planet? Yeah, Blue Planet documentaries. He's back. Thank goodness. Okay, what do we think?
The song itself, like the music, guitar, drums,
Okay,
I'll give it to you. Those lyrics, on the other hand, no.
okay. But okay, the singer Jeremy Jordan, he's pretty good as well. Would you
I'll
say
give
that
it to
he was a good singer?
I'll give it to him. He's good.
He's
But
talented. And you know what? It's sort of in my range. I could do that. Not as good as him, but I can do it. Anyway, we're getting off topic. Basically, Hazbin Hotel. I enjoy the show. I would not recommend it to you unless you have like strongly girded loins, which don't ask me what that means. It's a I don't even know. It's like unless you're prepared, like very prepared, right? But yeah, also Alistair, he is the goat. He's my goat. Completely evil, and I'm here for it. It's like deal with the devil type deal, but he's not the actual. You have to watch to understand. He is very entertaining. He's most of the pretty much the only reason I was watching the show for the first few episodes. Then it picked up later on. But like, yeah, music, characters, story. As long as you understand the story is completely false and has nothing. It is not at all like what actual scripture says. Anyway, we're gonna move on to our final topic of discussion because we went a lot over time with our last one, but that's all right because we love to talk about interesting subjects. This last one on the subject of death and whatnot. We've had a lot of things go on in the world. Well, a lot of things go on in America with anti-ICE people right now, and these aren't just people who dislike the song, of which some people I'm sure do. The Immigration's Custom Enforcement. Austin, I'm assuming you have some sort of knowledge of what happened.
so, if I heard it correct, and if the articles I saw were correct, essentially there was a stop that happened. Um, two ICE agents, or at least two ICE vehicles, had come, pulled over another vehicle of someone who was suspected to be a illegal immigrant in the country. And let's see,
We might not be talking about the same incident, are we?
Kirsty Noam, who had attempted to run over the ICE agent,
The
or
lady's
not
last name was
Kirsty
Good.
Noam.
Yeah, Chrissy
Oh
Noem's
yeah,
the
sorry,
good.
sorry, wrong name.
Yeah,
Let's see,
she's
what
pretty
was her
high up.
name?
Her last name was Good, I think.
Uh, Renee Good. Yeah. So she had come up on the stop and had decided that she was going to take matters into her own hands and run over these ICE agents. And I'm not going to say his name because protection of these men who are currently under threat of Americans who are trying to get rid of them, obviously, as we've seen currently. Um, He was actually hit, and he's currently in the hospital due to internal bleeding. Uh, the one video that the left is trying to push shows an angle where it looks like he wasn't, and therefore he used unauthorized illegal force to stop her by shooting her. However, other angles of the incident by other witnesses and the fact that he is currently in the hospital proves that he was hit by the vehicle. She had essentially weaponized her vehicle, turning it into a weapon used for killing intent, and therefore gave the ICE agent justification for his action in his decision to shoot her um, in self-defense.
Yeah, this
Of
this
course,
is
as
yeah, this is not an easy subject at all because obviously we don't want anyone to have to
yeah,
die, even if they're making stupid
condolences
choices.
condolences to the family,
Yeah,
absolutely.
no one should be dying about this. This is that's that's really a horrible thing for it to have had to happen. I don't think that it's very hard to put all this in terms that
The
are very
the issue
simple
is
because it's so complicated.
the issue is the political uprising that we've seen in the last just couple months recently.
But
If you look
specifically
at
this one,
if
especially.
you look at the difference between the two, you have Charlie Kirk, who was shot and killed because he was expressing his right to free speech and wanting to have conversation with everyone so we can get a better understanding with each other. But because he said some offensive things to people and had said offensive and talked about offensive topics, he was praised for being shot and killed. That was a People were trying to defend the shooter and say he did God's work, essentially.
Oh,
It was right to kill Charlie Kirk because he was an evil, terrible man who was a sexist, homophobic, racist.
which
And then
isn't
you
good.
look at
I'm not sure if that's exactly the same as what
it's
even
not the same,
happened here.
but I'm just saying there's a difference
Well,
between someone who is a Republican
right.
versus this Democrat who was shot and killed for attempting murder, and she's being praised for her actions, and the ICE agent is being hated.
That's
And
true.
people online are I've seen it in comment sections on Instagram and Facebook. People are saying, "Reveal his identity so we can go finish the work."
Yeah. I think that's
I think we should hunt and kill all ICE agents. This is
that
not what we should be doing.
no, and here's here's where the whole issue probably started. The fact that she thought it was okay to impede these ICE agents in what they were doing because to impede an officer of the law, such as this guy himself, that's not allowed. The problem is a lot of people have been pushing this idea of resist ICE because they're doing stuff that is not legal.
The ISAP protests.
Okay, and protests are legal. There's nothing wrong with that.
Like
But to
there's
impede them
nothing
in their
illegal
work
about it.
and to try to I'm not even gonna go so far as to say to kill them, just to try to hurt them at all. That's not good. And especially with this car, a car that is coming at you is in fact an object that is, a lethal force
It's a
sort of thing. And if I
multi-million
see a
pound
car coming at
vehicle.
me and it's only like 10 miles per hour, well, it's still a very, very big, very dangerous vehicle. And it might not look that on camera, but when you only have a second, maybe two, to just react, you're purely in self. It's like the fight or flight or freeze mode, and you don't want to freeze. And if the car's coming right at you, you might not have the chance to fight. So this guy, he's trying to defend himself, and the fact that he has the internal bruising suggests, internal internal bleeding, which it could just be like a bruise. It could be something more serious. We don't know the full extent of that. But the fact that he has it at all, it's like, hey, so the car did in fact strike him. So he's most likely thinking, I have to stop this woman from running me over. And so he does what is, and that's where the debate is, whether it was reasonable force to shoot her. And a lot of people saying, well, Renee Good, that could be you, that could be me. I think I'm not gonna run into someone. I'm not gonna try to run into anyone, especially an an ICE agent who is trying to do his job. Because I mean, I don't want that kind of trouble, and I don't want to kill people. And I'm not saying she wanted to kill people, but even if she was just trying to get him to jump out of her way, it still isn't a wise decision to drive a car at anyone, especially when
Yeah,
you
no.
know that they have weapons that can kill you. I I really wish she hadn't chosen to do that. She would not have died because let's be real, these protesters get away with doing a lot of stuff that probably should get them arrested when you are doing these things that can be labeled as, assaulting a
Yeah.
federal agent or impeding them doing their job or anything. None of that is legal. None of that should be and there's just so many of them doing it, and they have other things that they're trying to focus on that a lot of times these people get away with it. And I think between that and this idea, oh, we have to resist, we have to keep going, you got to fight it. It's just this idea of, well, we have to do this. I mean, what are they going to do? It's us against them. We got to fight. We can take them. And that's a very dangerous idea. When did we think it was okay? When did we start thinking it was okay to try to attack, the police or the ICE people? It baffles me because I'm not going to say that I am very experienced in law enforcement. I took some criminal justice classes for college, though, and I'm like, these guys, they could do so much to you. There's so much stuff. They can throw the book at you, and even if they don't, if you're the way that they classify reasonable force, they can do a lot to y'all. I don't know what you're thinking. It's it's very sad that we have come to a point where this is a normalized thing that is just accepted. That I can go on to Instagram and I can see people saying, "Hey, you got to report the ICE around to this hotline so we can resist it. We can stop them." Because why? Just just why? These are
It's
these are people trying to do their jobs, and I know that y'all say that because the people are like, well, these illegal immigrants, well, they deserve to be here, but they are here illegally. And then they'll probably say something like, well, it's only a misdemeanor. It's not a crime. A misdemeanor is still a criminal act, yes?
I mean, it absolutely is, but from what I've a lot of the excuses I've heard is there is no illegal immigration in stolen land. They're essentially claiming that the white people stole America from the natives. That
Which,
is not true.
I mean, yeah, you can't say that it went the whole way. I mean, the Louisiana Purchase, America bought Louisiana, which you could argue
And
was stolen by
also,
other people, but not
if
us.
we just look at the history, we won the war. I hate to break it to you, but that's what happens.
And the other thing, I think you would have to look at it like every land was probably stolen by someone at some point in history. Like no land just belongs to someone.
Yeah, if we look at
Like the
Europe,
Indians had their own
Africa,
wars.
that continually changes, like throughout history.
Or Genghis
Europe
Khan, he was very
nation,
well known for that. He was a great war
and you
guy.
look at, the Great British Empire,
The
the
Roman
Japanese
Empire,
Empire, the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, the
Alexander the Great,
Persian. Like,
The Medo Persians, who then became the Persians. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean this cycle of war and blood and taking land
borders
and getting
change,
it
and
back.
those who own the borders are the ones who are in charge of what happens to their borders. And America has said we need we need to start closing off our borders and not allowing illegal immigration into our country because it is currently hurting our country. And it always has been. We are the only country that isn't we don't have protected borders. If you look at any other country in our current states, so European countries, Asian countries, a lot of South American countries and African countries, if you're there illegally, they will throw you out, no questions asked.
Australia is pretty strict.
Yeah,
Australia's like
Australia.
crazy. If you're pregnant, I don't think they'll even let you in because they don't want the kid, like if you give birth, to
They don't want the
have
dual citizenship
they want the dual
stuff.
citizenship. It's just like, gee, like we'll let the kid in. I mean, we'll let the mother who's pregnant in here, and if their kid's born, okay. But like, so I don't even think we're being too extreme. We're just asking, hey, do it legally. Oh,
Yeah.
I even checked out a book here. Hold on.
Just waiting on Dr. Road to return. Here he is.
Okay, it's called U.S. Immigration Made Easy. All right, and so I was just trying to take a look, right? So
Yeah.
what what do we have here in the table of contents? Oh,
Like I'm aware it takes a while to become a US citizen.
oh yeah, but there's
However,
so many different things. There's standard immigration, and there's government paperwork and denials, lawyers, green cards through family members, green card through the diversity visa lottery as an investor, through employment, for a special immigrant, for asylum or refugee, or let me just run you through these visas. Business or tourist, temporary specialty worker, temporary non-agricultural worker, temporary trainee, intra-company transferee, treaty trader, treaty investor, student, exchange visitor, action for, oh wait, no, not that, temporary worker in a selected occupation. The point is, there's a lot of ways to get in here. And I know that a lot, these aren't all, full American citizens. Some of these are just visas, but it's a start.
the
I
visas,
mean,
but you can apply for a citizenship and get a visa.
right. So there's a lot of stuff in this book about what to do and how you can do it. Which I'm not gonna say that our immigration system's perfect. I don't think any system can be perfect. There's always gonna be an issue somewhere. But I don't think it is so bad that we need to resort to illegal immigration, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't think that's a crazy
America's one
statement.
of the easier countries to get into
And
from what I've looked up.
one of those, countries that you probably aren't going to be trying to flee from pretty soon.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not. But in the end, the exhortation here is don't be stupid. If you dislike ICE, if you dislike their mission, you are entitled to feel that way because in the end,
You
that's what
you
America's
you
for.
you have your right to, your opinions.
Right.
It's perfectly fine.
Just let's stop with
Let's
the trying to bring them
let's
harm or trying to thoroughly impede what they're trying to do.
maybe
Protest
let's
all you
stop
want.
wishing death on everyone who you
Right.
disagree with.
You know, protesting, trying
You
to
have the right to
make changes in
protest.
the law. If you want you know, maybe try to make the government change how they do these things. But violent action is not a valid action, and it's just not the right way to go about these things at all. And in the end, it's just going to make you a criminal at that point. If you do it too much, eventually that is going to most likely, you know, come back to bite you.
Yeah. Again, condolences to the Good family, but
Yeah.
let's look at this and say let's let's talk, let's have debates, and let's try to find some middle ground
Yeah.
because we should not be resorting to killing each other.
Yeah. I hope that her death is not celebrated at all. I hope
It's
we
not so.
recognize that it was a use of reasonable force, as bad as that sounds. Saying it was reasonable force is not a celebration, though. It's saying the events in the way that they transpired tragically meant this was what the officer deemed was necessary, and it was within his reasonable thought. There was no malice necessarily. It's not like it was extreme prejudice. It's not like he was like, "Hey, I want to shoot you." There's none of that. It's about I don't want to die, and I'm not going to die in the end. It was a decision he shouldn't have had to make, and I feel bad that he's in that position, and he has to deal with this probably for the rest of his life. But
Yeah.
in the end, we're also sad that Renee Good also had to die. Hopefully, though, even though this is a horrible situation, it is one that we can, as a society, take away an important lesson. That this is not the way to behave with these people. This is not the way to treat these people. It's very, I don't want to just say rude or disrespectful, but I mean that is. And it's
Yeah.
illegal. And it's not smart. So please, let's just not do that.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's all we have for today. Dr. Road and Hydra himself. Next week, we shall be predicting the AFC and NFC representatives for the Super Bowl.
I'll
And
continue up with our F1 news.
mhm. And casting the VeggieTales celebrity voice cast, which is pretty cool. And then we'll have some fun current events or other important topics to
Let,
talk about.
let's
Depending
hope we don't have
on how
another
it goes.
topic as heavy as this.
I really hope not. Please, news, don't do us like that. But anyway, we've gone on long enough talking. The doctor's diagnosis. That's my I'm going to get a catchphrase eventually. But yeah, that's all for today.
See you next week.